Hello YouTubers, thank you for tuning into my video, making a raised cargo or trunk floor for the new 2019 Elantra GT N-Line. In my owner's review video, I noted that there's quite a step up from the trunk onto the folded down rear seats that may be undesirable. I also discussed that the trunk of other Elantras has a movable floor to raise and lower the cargo floor. In other Elantras, the trunk features supports on the left and right sides just behind the rear seats to slide the floor onto. The rear edge is supported by a lip just inside the threshold. The Elantra I purchased has this lip, likely a carryover part from the other models. We have a small ledge on that step from the trunk to the rear seats to potentially do something with. Now, what are we going to make this out of? I used 3/4 inch plywood. It is sturdy enough for this initial test, it is relatively lightweight, and it's easy to work with. Here we go. From left to right wall, I measured 40 inches. Down the center, mark a line. From the chosen forward edge of the wood, measure 30 3/4 inches. This point will mark the zenith of the arc. This is not exact science, but I have found that a 73-inch radius will produce an appropriate arc that matches the trunk's contour very nicely. Ask a helper to hold the tape measure in place and then sweep the tape measure with a pencil from side to side. Measure twice, cut once. I used a jigsaw and circular saw. Don't forget your safety glasses. The end result is a board that nicely rests on the step behind the rear seats and on the lip along the threshold. Afterward, there will now be a step or drop-off onto the seat backs. Now this step will only be as much as the thickness of the selected board, but it is better than the step up from the trunk onto the seat backs. As a matter of fact, this may be alright as the seats slope upward and a large object will nicely lay across the new loading floor and the seat backs. The new cargo floor as it is now rests on this ledge. To make the floor somewhat match the interior, I visited my local car stereo store and purchased some stock speaker box carpet. I glued the carpet to the board. The cuts in the carpet will help address the folding or bunching up of the material on the underside as you fold it over the edge. I actually cut a V to help address this further. Each small section can be glued separately. I used a small spare board and a clamp to hold the carpet as it is drying. The long sides require 2 clamps and a longer board. I'll let it dry for 24 hours. Before gluing the carpet along the arc, I stopped to address how I'd like to lift the floor. I wanted a small strap attached to pull the floor up to gain access to the area underneath it. I used a small piece of nylon, folded it, and sewed it. I then removed one layer of the plywood and screwed the nylon strap in place with a fender washer. The end result is a simple board that rests on the forward ledge and the rear lip. It can be removed very easily, but it cannot be stowed in a low loading floor configuration as the factory designed floor. A plus, however, is that this solution provides simultaneous use of the standard loading floor and this new loading floor. The other Elantras have nothing underneath the moving floor to provide flat and functional storage. Thank you for tuning in.